Hello everybody, welcome to Ramblin. Gonna be more rambling than usual, hopefully. I don't know if anybody's out there knows who Bob and Ray were, a comedy team, mainly on the radio. And I was introduced to them a long time ago. I used to watch, I'm about 14, 15 years old. I used to just sneak up late and to the living room, watch Johnny Carson and David Letterman late. And they were on Johnny Carson, and they did some of their classic routines. And not long after that, I remember I was working as a bag boy at Kroger. I came across a book at the library of some of their routines written out, and I just loved them. Well, recently came across some videos on YouTube of some of their old radio shows, and listening to one of those a couple of days ago got the rhythm of their back and forth in my head. And when I laid down to go to sleep later that day, either when I was going to sleep or when I was waking up, I had that running through my head, and I was making up my own routines, two voices back and forth. Now, in the early days of their show, it was all spontaneous, all impromptu. They would just make it up, and later they had people write the material for them. But I thought, well, if your brain is able to just automatically generate this stuff, then you ought to be able to teach yourself how to just spew shit out when you're recording your shows. The problem is it's a two-voice thing. When you try to do it with just one voice, it's a little different. Plus, there's a fictional element, because on their show, they're interviewing people, and there's a back and forth with that. Interviewing made-up people. But as much as possible, I want to try to take that approach more with this show in particular, and just go wherever my brain leads. That was the whole idea behind the damn show in the first place. But anyway, I'll tell you one thing that I want to talk. One thing I was thinking about talking about: guilty pleasures. And tonight's guilty pleasure is the 1987 Whitesnake album, which, on the one hand, I realize and think of as shit, because it's just formulaic pablum. But on the other hand, it's a guilty pleasure because that album is so sonically perfect. He has got an amazing voice, and the keyboards, the guitar, the drums, everything is precisely arranged and placed, each drum beat, each note, everything. But the lyrics are stupid, pedestrian, mediocre poop. And I've tried, over the course of the last week, I've been trying to listen to the whole record, and you're listening to it, you're like, oh, this is really good sonically, the way it sounds. But then the lyrics are stupid, and the structure of the songs is stupid, or just, run-of-the-mill formula. I think another guilty pleasure of mine is Kiss's Asylum album. That's the one with Tears Are Falling and a bunch of other shit. And I know the album sucks, Okay, that's another thing. I'm gonna stop saying I've gotten I say as like a verbal marker all the time, and I'm gonna make myself stop saying it. That album is just garbage. But for some reason, there's something about it that appeals to me. I went out this weekend. What are you turning your lights off for, dumbass? What the fuck? That guy just turned his lights off as he approached me. What the hell was that about? I thought he was going to try to shoot me or something. Anyway, I went out to Trader Joe's to buy these peanut butter pretzels. And I was so out of it. My sleep pattern got so disturbed over the last couple of days. Without even realizing it, I was out of it when I got there. I got there about 10 minutes before they're supposed to open. A bunch of other people and I are hanging out around outside the door, waiting for them to open up. So I'm the first one in the door, right? And I load up like 7 bags of these pretzels, and I go up to the counter to check out. I've got my camera bag with me because I'm starting to make a habit of always bringing my camera with me. So, if I see anything that's interesting, I can take a picture of it. And the dude who's checking me out is asking me, is that a camera bag? What kind of camera is it? Why you got it? And I'm like, camera, bag, pictures. I couldn't function, couldn't think. And also I'm irritated. Stop trying to engage with me, dude. I thought maybe he was trying to figure out, was I, I said, again, sorry. Like taking pictures of the possible violations or something. I don't know what he was trying to get at. What else happened? What else am I thinking of lately? In the early 80s, Andy Summers and Robert Fripp put out 2 albums of instrumental music. Most of it done with guitar synthesizer. Don't know what kind, Roland or something. Anyway, I've been fascinated with those 2 records since I got cassette copies of them. The famous Wuxtry record store here in Athens used to have a satellite store a couple miles over called Wuxtry 2, I think it was called. Anyway, I was in there, this would have been 87, and they had used copies of those 2 cassettes, and because they were, they had sort of similar cover art, I thought this would be cool to have these 2 albums together, so I got them, and I just loved them. And I own the CD copy of the first one, I Advance Masked, but I don't have a CD copy of Bewitched, which is the second one. Well, anyway, a couple days ago, they put out it's called Skyline, a song that apparently was recorded during the sessions for those 2 albums. I was like, what the fuck is this? I never heard this. I didn't know what is, because I'd always thought it'd be cool if they did a 3rd album. Well, they didn't do a 3rd album, but what they have done is they've put out like a box set thing with the 2 original albums and then a 3rd CD of like outtakes or stuff that didn't make the cut for those 2 albums, plus a DVD and a book, I think. It's like $60 or something. There's no way I'm going to pay that much for that. But I'm going to get that eventually, somehow, because those 2 records I love. I love Andy Summers. His solo stuff is so good. He's such a great guitar player. One of my favorite guitar players of all time. And not so big on Robert Fripp. Partly because apparently he personally is a jerk. And I'll give you one example. There's a live album. I guess it's a King Crimson live album. And it ends with the music stopping all of a sudden. And some guy saying to the audience, someone just took a photograph. Somebody just took a picture. And until that person comes forward and turns his camera in, we're not gonna continue with the show. Apparently he doesn't like being looked at while he's playing, which sort of begs the question of why he performs live in the first place. Okay, now here's the thing. If he doesn't want people taking pictures at the concerts, fine, that's his prerogative. But to include this little bit of historical data on a live album as the finishing part of the record just shows that he's trying to say, look at this, look who I am, this is who I am, I'm an asshole. I've enjoyed an hour and a half of delightful live recorded sound here. Oh, and at the end, fuck you. What a thing to include. I just thought, and this whole, I was reading about him apparently years ago. He was so afraid the world was about to come to an end that he stopped playing music for a while. It was bizarre. Very bizarre person. Oh, Lord. Saw a video just a couple of days ago. Some guy complaining that Ghost on their current tour is going to not allow phones to be brought into the venue. And if you bring a phone, you'll have to turn it in for the course of the concert or whatever. And this guy was complaining about that. I was delighted to see that all the comments were like, no, stupid. We hate it when people beside us are filming the whole goddamn show. Why are you even here if you're going to just record the damn thing on your phone? I've run along a thermos of hot tea in my bag and it keeps slopping back and forth. I'm afraid it's going to leak. It's bad enough back in the 80s when people hold up their lighters in tribute to the band. You are our divinities. I hate live shows anyway. Well, I can't think of anything else to say, and I'm about to turn into the parking lot here, so I will see you later. Bye.